All right, all right. So what's going on, my freaks and geeks? This is the Square Roundtable podcast. I want to thank all of our viewers and listeners for coming out and following us on our journey and listening to us every week. We really appreciate you guys. And just like always, we got another amazing podcast coming to you tonight. So, guys, we are very excited to end the year, to end season 3 of the Square Roundtable podcast with a guest whose work we've definitely talked about for a long time. So it's really good. Like we were talking a little bit before we started the recording, it's definitely great to put a face to all these amazing projects. So without any further ado, guys, we have animation director, Mr. Ivan Dixon. So thank you so much, sir, for coming on the podcast with us. We really appreciate you.
Thank you for having me. This is my first time on a podcast, so hope I don't disappoint.
Oh no, that's not gonna
Oh
happen.
no, not at all. Not at all. And we're honored that we're your first podcast. So hopefully this experience will be like fun enough to where you'll want to do more podcasts in the future. So we definitely
Yeah.
appreciate that.
Cool.
But we first,
Yeah.
oh yeah, so we first, oh yeah, man, we're glad. Like I said, glad to have you. So I'll first start out just like we do with all of our guests. Before we get into all of the good stuff, we just want to do a quick check and see how everything's going with you. How has everything been going recently with you? How have you been doing lately?
Yeah, it's that time of year. Things start to wrap up a little bit around this time. But yeah, my day to day is running an animation studio. So we've always got a handful of projects going at different stages: design, storyboard, animation, post. So that's the day to day. And the comics that you mentioned, that's just what I do on the side for fun when I get time. But yeah, it's great that you guys are reading it and relating to it. About my stories about a Australian bodybuilding duck in LA. It's cool.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's like I was telling you before. We were able to look at the comic, like I said, through following you on Instagram. So for all of our viewers and listeners, if you want to read the comic Muscles McQuack, it's definitely on Ivan's Instagram, and we'll have that in the description below. But yeah, man, it
It's
was
in
just
the
it's
banner.
hilarious. Oh, when
Oh,
it's
I'm
in the
sorry.
banner, right?
It's in the
I keep
banner.
forgetting to make.
His Instagram's in a banner. So if you want to follow all of his stuff, it's right there for you.
I
Right.
keep forgetting Demetrius. Demetrius comes in clutch with the banners. My bad, Demetrius. I forget that sometimes, bro. Yeah, man. It was like instant. I read it. I started reading it, and at the point, not to ruin anything, but at the point to where Pete got into became a peg brother at the sex club. It's that it's because oh, and here's the funny thing. I read the comic actually backwards,
Mm.
which I think helped get the tension together because there was the Peg brother conversation that was happening. I'm just like, what is? I'm like, I think I know what that means, but I don't know. So I was flipping through it, and then I finally got on that scene. And at that point, I was dead, and I had to send it to my brother and Demetrius, and we were rolling.
Yeah. So there's a backstory to how Ken and Pete became Peg brothers, but you can only find it in the print version I released earlier this year.
Hmm.
It's like a 5-page little mini
Oh,
comic that kind of threads the missing gap between episode 5 and 6, and it's filthy. Yeah, I grew up watching shows like The Simpsons and South Park and stuff. So like dirty, funny adult stuff was always appealing. And then I remember when I discovered an old copy of Robert Crumb comics, like a 60s
mhm.
underground cartoonist from the States, and it was just so next level. It's filthy, like stuff you couldn't
Yes.
do on TV, you still couldn't do on TV. And I guess I like exploring that kind of grimy, weird stuff and seeing who will go along with it. But all through the eyes of this really innocent, sweet, lovable character, Muscles.
No, it's really hilarious, and I can definitely see some of those references, like calling out to some of those other titans of like adult cartoon comedy or adult comics, it definitely is just enough. Like it's not like it in any way like too vulgar or anything like that. Like it fits right in that pocket, and the comedic writing is just amazing. Like I said before, I saw the animation that you put on YouTube. That was going to be one of my earlier questions. I was going to be like, man, are you trying to make this into a cartoon at all? Do you have any animation for it? Because I felt like I was watching it right there on the screen, like it was just jumping off of the page. So we definitely can't wait. I know you guys are you still working on it right now?
Yeah, I just was working on it before we hopped on this call. I'm working on
Oh wow.
the next story in the series, and I've got like a little mini comic I want to do with the characters, like a backstory for how Muscles got the nickname Muscles when he was a teenager. But yeah, I can tell you a bit of the backstory of how this character came about if you want.
Oh yeah, of course, please.
Yeah,
Totally.
I think it'll fill in the gaps and explain why there's partially animated stuff and different stories all over the place. So the character was really inspired by, I saw one of those Louis Theroux documentaries. Louis Theroux, who's like a British documentarian who just goes to the States, hangs out with some oddball people. He'll go there and hang out with like porn stars or bodybuilders or white supremacists and just talk to them. And he's like amazing because he can disarm people because he's so British and polite that people don't realize how rude he's really being. Like he said to this white supremacist once, he goes, "Do you think you might have mental illness?" And because he sounds so lovely, they engage with him. They don't fight back. Anyway, he had this story about bodybuilders, and there was this Australian bodybuilder in LA, and he had a lisp, like a bit like a cartoon duck, and it was just so funny to me. And I thought, I want to know more about this guy, and so I invented Muscles McQuack as a response to that. And he's a mix of different people I know who've gotten into bodybuilding, and then my own personal experiences going to the US and being an outsider there. But yeah, I drew this comic. It was just like a 4-page kind of very simple story about Muscles discovering his girlfriend rimming an ostrich. So extremely relatable. And then I put that out there, and a producer I worked with, she saw it and she goes, "Oh, I think my boss at this studio would really like this. We should develop it as a series." I was like, "Okay, let's do it." And then we developed it as a show. We made that short animated thing that you saw on YouTube called Bushwalk. It's just a very like short 5-minute cut. And then we took that out and we pitched it to all the major studios in Hollywood, and Hulu were interested, and they paid us to make a pilot episode and a script for episode 2. So we had this big team of people. We had voice actors, writers. We made a pilot, animatic. It's never been released, but the show got shelved after there was a Disney-Fox merger that made Disney the majority shareholder in Hulu, and they already had a show based on Howard the Duck they were doing. They're like, "Why we got 2 duck shows? We don't need 2 duck shows." So the show disappeared. But I always thought, oh, this is a shame. We've done all this work. I'm really happy with these characters, but nobody has seen it outside of that short animation and a handful of little comics. So I really wanted to start using those characters and exploring the world more. And that's where you come in, and the comics you've seen in the series, there's now 7 of them or 8 of them that kind of represent a new body of work. That I'm just trying to make the comics for the sake of making comics. I'm not trying to pitch it as a show anymore. If somebody wants to make a show, awesome, but that's not a goal for me because it's just such a long shot. Yeah.
No.
Yeah, that's the whole story.
No, I definitely get that. But yeah, like you said, making comics for the sake of making them, like, I still think that's awesome. Like I said, because I thoroughly enjoyed it. I would, of course, if Adult Swim at any point, wink, wink, wanted to pick that up, wink, wink, I wouldn't be upset at it. But we just think it's fantastic. And you did mention something about there being a physical, like a short comic out for that you can get. Where exactly can you find that at?
Yeah, there's only a couple more copies left, maybe 3 or 4 copies left from the run I did. You can buy that at ivandixon.com. There's a store there.
Oh, okay.
I don't think I have a copy on me, maybe somewhere else in the house, but it's a volume of the first 6 comics plus mini comics, plus there's cover art that's never been seen for each story. There's like a little introduction to the characters that kind of explains a little bit of where they're at and how they got there. And I want to continue doing those as volumes. So every 6 or so episodes, I'll put out a book bundling up the stories so we can have them all in one place. And I did actually remaster some of the art, fix some of the problems, the typos. In one drawing, I accidentally drew them driving on the wrong side of the road.
Oh gosh.
I corrected that because on Instagram you can't update images. So if I made a mistake on Instagram and it's already had a few hundred
there
likes,
forever.
Like, damn it. Yeah, it's there forever. Yeah, but like I want to keep doing more of that. And yeah, I do think like comics are an art form in and of themselves, and it's not just a stepping stone to making a show or a movie. I love the freedom that comics give me. I don't have to take notes. I don't have to work with explain my ideas or characters or jokes. It's if a joke is weird or doesn't work, that's fine. It's all worth it to have that freedom. I don't know if you guys relate.
No, I think so.
Like
Yeah, totally. Exactly. Yeah.
I also think just being able to post your comics on Instagram, is, like you said, the freedom, and also I honestly think it's probably be like an easier means. Maybe it is like an easier means to be able to get like more eyes on your just the ideas. It's more eyes on your ideas, and that is if the algorithm just wants to give you a chance that day.
Right.
Well, I have found that because most of my work I do is commercial work. You've seen some of the music videos or I've worked on like video game stuff over the years, and that stuff's great. I love it. It's really exciting and fun to get paid to make cartoons. But I found the Muscles work I post, that has the strongest engagement of anything that I post. And I think it's because it's so clearly personal and it's me. It's not an ad for something else. So I do think, I don't know how the algorithm works. I've never understood it. But I do notice that people engage more strongly with content that they feel is real and personal.
Oh, totally. And basically, pretty much how the algorithm works. Basically, it doesn't work. And but
no, it's a huge hater sometimes for sure.
No, really totally. But yeah, especially like with Muscles McQuack. Like I also think because me personally, it's just the subject matter in the story is just super relatable, and I know plenty of people that act like those characters and find themselves in similar situations. I don't think I know anybody that gave a I don't know anybody that a ring job an ostrich.
Was like stand.
Like this really
spit it out.
Yeah, I don't think I know anybody that did that. I don't think, but yeah.
That's why I call it semi-autobiographical. You know,
there you go.
It's real up to a point. It's clearly I'm not a bodybuilding duck, but it's cool though. I think the fact that they're animals helps people relate a little more to them because you can put yourself in them. They're not, it's left open to your imagination to imagine what kind of people they are, and you can see yourself in them. Yeah.
No, definitely. Agreed. But yeah, we definitely love it. And I know, of course, I'll tell all my viewers and listeners they can go ahead and get the last few copies of the book that you have left. But Ivan, I'm going to go ahead and tell you before, because this podcast is recorded, so I'm going to make sure to get my copy before we drop the episode. So I don't.
For sure.
Copy,
yeah. I was about to say, we might just get the last 4.
You might get the last few, yeah. I haven't checked the stock in a couple of days, but it's getting close. And if you do buy it, I'll throw in a few stickers that I have.
Hey, awesome.
I'll take it.
Awesome.
But yeah, I want to do more. I want to print more. I've also got t-shirts and caps. Yeah, you can see all on the store there.
Oh, they're on the store?
But I want to do another run.
Oh yeah, okay, awesome. So we'll make sure to let our viewers and listeners know about that. Of course, after we get ours, but yeah, so we got you.
Yeah,
But
makes sense.
Yeah,
Makes sense.
totally.
Totally.
oh yeah,
We got to get our own copies before they run out.
exactly,
For
exactly.
sure. But another thing I thought was interesting about Muscles McQuack is that when I saw the short on YouTube, I already thought it was like an Adult Swim show. I was just like, oh wow. I was just like, oh wow. I need to like tune back in Adult Swim and check out Muscles McQuack because it's that good. Like it's really cool. Like
Yeah.
Oh,
and it
thanks.
reminded
Thanks.
me,
Yeah.
for sure. And it reminded me like a lot of this. It just reminded me like a lot of the humor and just the overall art style is just perfect for that platform.
Mhm.
Well,
And also,
we pitched it to Adult Swim back in the day, and Adult Swim was the hardest pitch of them all. I tell you,
Really?
we went around town, and most places, the people you're pitching to engage with you and smile and laugh and give you a shot. But Adult Swim, it was like complete blank, cold.
Wow.
They must be pitched all the time, but it wasn't an environment where you felt comfortable. Like you're on edge the whole time. I think Adult Swim as well, they like it to be like almost more weird, I think. Like our show, I always wanted Muscles to have a bit of a heart and I really like, there's a few like dramedy TV shows, Girls or Love or shows like that, a comedy drama that I really like. And I like having that balance. And I think maybe Adult Swim wanted something more trippy and just weird and out there. I don't know. Who knows? You don't know. They
I
don't
was about
tell
to say,
you.
yeah.
You just
You just never really know what they'll go for. But no, I guess that makes sense. Oh, go ahead.
there's generic feedback you often get when pitching a show. It's like the characters aren't likable or relatable. Now, I don't think every character has to be likable to be a good
No.
show.
Thank you.
I think there's a difference between having a shitty character and the show endorsing that shittiness. You're not supposed to like certain characters. You're not supposed to be rooting for some of the bad characters in TV shows. But Muscles never had that problem, thankfully. He was such a sweetie. Everyone loves him.
Yeah.
No, he's
oh
that
yeah,
he's that guy.
totally. Like
Definitely a Muscles
yeah,
fan.
yeah.
And
No,
But
like
Sally, there's a lot of hate for Sally on the comments or the comics.
I wasn't gonna say it. Like she
Mm.
I'm like on the fence. Like she puts my boy through a lot though. I know he doesn't have a job necessarily, or he didn't until he started acting or whatever, but it's goodness. Like he's obviously uncomfortable and doesn't want to have open relations and all that kind of stuff. But she's just out there with it. I felt for my boy.
I think the way I don't hate any of the characters. I think to write and conceive characters, you have to understand them all. For me, yes, Muscles is a sweet guy, but he would be infuriating to be with. Like imagine being with somebody that naive, that gullible, and I think he's spending her money. In the second episode, he gives her money away to a girl he just met when he's a loan shark. He doesn't understand the basic principles of how the world works. So I think I cut her a lot of slack for that. And she was very upfront that this was going to be an open relationship. This is the story of the pilot episode that nobody saw, but he just didn't understand what an open relationship was. He thought it meant you're open with your feelings.
Ow.
It's
Muscles is too pure for this world.
It's only after he sees a dick pic on her phone from another guy that he realizes what this means, and so he spirals at that point. I cut her a bit of slack.
I think. Oh, go ahead, dude.
I was gonna say, now that I think about it, when you say, yeah, it'd be hard to deal with like Muscles as like a partner, you'd always have to be with him at all points in time of the day just to make sure he doesn't go like this way. You'd be like, no, Muscles, we gotta go over this.
Yeah, just exactly, because like I said, because he'll become like a heavy for a loan shark, or literally a stripper out of nowhere because he thought that he thought the people he was training were just friends with him and they didn't see him that way. That whole scene.
Love that comic. Just
gotta
wanted
be
to be
like
one of
one
the
of
girls.
Right, he wanted to
Like,
be
he
one
just
of the
wanted to be
girls
one
so
of the
bad.
girls. Like he's too pretty for this world. I love
Really
it.
is.
Yeah.
No, man, but no, that is
Well,
hilarious. And
so
go ahead.
he was
No.
conceived as a response to a lot of TV shows these days. A lot of adult animated comedies have these main characters that are really cynical and smart. So you've got Rick from Rick and Morty, BoJack. There's more examples that are escaping. Okay, the hormone monster or whatever. These kind of fast-talking, smart, cynical people. And I just wanted to buck that trend and say, no, I want a sweet, dumb. It's like he wouldn't hurt a fly kind of style dude. And I think putting him in the body of a big muscly character is like a nice contrast to that.
Yeah.
No, it definitely was, because even with that thing that you mentioned, okay, you have the character trope of the smart kind of witty character like the hormone monsters, which by the way, me and Joshua are huge hormone monster fans. They're hilarious. But but then it's like you do have the trope of the dumb kind of half-wit character like a Peter Griffin, but he's mean. You know what I'm saying? It's not like that thing where he's a nicer guy to go along with that. So you're missing that. And even the guy, I think that type of stan, or they often, sometimes they show that they're nicer characters, but for the most part, they're often doing something that's not the nicest. What were you saying, D?
I was gonna add in there. I think if we're talking Rick and Morty, I think like Jerry is that example. He's dumb, but like he's not all the way a good guy. He just done some messed up stuff sometimes, or he's just so stupid he does stupid things that end up leading to messed up situations or whatever down the line.
Yes.
Yeah, that's an interesting. Yeah, Jerry's kind of, but he's a bit. He can be passive aggressive too, or negligent a bit. But yeah, I just wanted to see. I think usually the nice guys aren't very funny. I think I like if you torture Muscles, it's just funny to me. It's not.
It's hilarious.
I think some people think they feel really bad for him all the time, but I'm like, no, it's supposed to be funny. It's not. It's just. I think with comics, it's also interesting. People like can take things very differently, like very dramatically or very comedically, depending on the personality of the. Because you don't have music telling you how to feel. Anyway, yeah.
No, that's true. So you have to, like I said, you're literally without any push from a soundtrack or to where it's like a funnier sounding music or a sad sounding music. You pretty much just have to go off of the words in your own mind. But for me, like I said, there's certain parts where I'm like, man, like I feel for this guy, but for the most part, he's just a little off. Like when he swore up and down his audition was to be a cowboy, so much so that he thought a full cowboy outfit, what was it, to audition for the role of George Bush or something like that. Like, it's come on. But I could talk Muscles for days.
Yeah, that one. That one was. I just watched Midnight Cowboy, and I thought that if you look up John Voight in Midnight Cowboy, he looks exactly like Muscles. He's got this big round head, his little blonde hair, and big pink lips, and it was so funny when I realized he looked like Muscles, and he is this gullible, dumb dude, and I thought that's perfect. I've got to use that. And then how do I work that into a Muscles story?
No, and once again, like my man being so naive and just not. Number one, I don't know how you even mix that up to begin with, but yeah, no, my dude is crazy. But I definitely can't wait to see some more comics. And like I said, for sure, me and the guys, we got to get our copy of the print version. So we're definitely copying that.
I could tell you a little spoiler for the next story.
Oh yeah. Exclusive. We love exclusive.
Give us the spoilers.
Yeah, this is an exclusive. Muscles gets cast in a Marvel style cinematic superhero universe. He's playing a character called Adonis, which is this kind of demigod that everybody loves. And I actually got one of the concept artists from the real Marvel movies, Anthony Francisco, who I met at a conference years ago. He designed the costume for Muscles to be wearing in the
wow.
superhero universe. So it's like an official, no, it's not official, but it's a Marvel concept artist design. He designed Baby Groot, this guy. He designed the costumes for Black Panther.
Cool.
So he
Wow.
designed my Muscles comic costume.
No,
That's so cool.
No, that's lit. That's gonna be lit. Yeah.
That's dope.
No,
Oh
that's
man.
yeah, that's one of the clips. So we're clipping that. That's one of the clips we're putting out for the podcast for sure. So we definitely got the Muscles McQuack exclusive. But no, that's really cool. I can't wait
That is.
I definitely can't wait to see the costume and that comic. Yeah,
Yes.
I'm just so glad that you're still moving forward with it, because I was hoping that it was something that wasn't just a thing you were going to stop. Because man, when I would literally read that while I'm at work, like I'm at work dying. Like it's definitely like I should be like busy doing I'm like reading Muscles McQuack comics. Yeah, I'm glad you're continuing the story.
It's a fun rush for me too, because I try to release them daily when I've got a new comic, and I get to read all the comments that come in and all the hot takes that people have, and it's nice because it draws a lot more readers in when I have that regular post. But it just means there's gaps where I get busy with work or life and I don't have time to work on it. But yeah, I do have the next couple already written. I just write them in my notes. I just have them. This is how I write them.
Oh wow.
No, that's how you got to do it. Yeah.
So the next one's called American Hollywood Story. I write an outline and then turn that into beats, and then I turn that into a script, and then it's just a process of chipping away at it, roughing it out. And yeah, we're going to get some flashbacks in the next episode to Pete, because I know he's your favorite. Science Pete, like 7 years ago, trying stand-up. There's some flashbacks to Ken's childhood, as Ken as an 8-year-old boy living in a hotel, and then we get to see Sally back when she was at university with a bad emo haircut and a bad emo boyfriend. So let's look forward to.
Yeah, I'm definitely excited. I'm definitely excited. That's gonna be dope. That's definitely gonna be dope. Ivan, we've talked a lot about your comics that you've graciously given us some exclusives for, so that is awesome. But one of the things I want to do now is go into your background, like as an artist, a visual artist, an animator, because we do see a lot of your work. You've done some stuff where you've animated, or your team has animated things like Bugs Bunny, Gumball, Animaniacs. You've done pixel work for The Simpsons, Rick and Morty, things like that. So you've gotten a chance to pay homage to all of these titans in animation. And I just wanted to know, for you growing up, what did that inspiration look like for you? What was some of the things that made you want to not just enjoy it as a viewer, but take part in animation cartoons?
Yeah, I grew up watching cartoons like every kid. That rush of a new episode of The Simpsons comes out and everybody at school is quoting it and talking about it. That was so cool. I also really loved Nickelodeon cartoons like Rugrats and Rocko's Modern Life, which was one of the few representations of Australians in cartoons.
Right. Yeah.
I didn't even realize he was meant to be Australian as a kid because the accent was so bad. But do you remember he'd be like, "Cleaning day is a very dangerous day." And but I loved how crazy that cartoon was. Yeah, and then when I got into animation a bit sideways. Like I loved computer games as well, video games. I used to play Commander Keen and Doom and all these other DOS games.
Oh yeah.
And I wanted to start to make my own games, just using third-party software. There was Click and Play, the Games Factory, Multimedia Fusion. These are all like software to make your own games. And the only way I could make art on a computer was pixel art, because I didn't have a scanner. I didn't know how to draw digitally. At that point, not many people really were drawing straight into the computer. It was more like scanning. And so I learned pixel art. That's how I got into animation. And it was only a few years later that I tried to draw like vector art or in Photoshop. But it was really pixel art through video games that was how I learned to animate. And then, yeah, I guess I think the things that inspired me most as a kid, I remember the first time I saw a Studio Ghibli movie, and I was probably, I was in primary school. My dad had taped Porco Rosso off TV, like a late nights, like this is 93 or 94, taped Porco Rosso off the TV. I got a funny story about that actually. In Australia, we've got a channel called SBS, and they play like kind of weird art house stuff from around the world, often like international films with racy kind of sex scenes and stuff. They actually played South Park. It was the first channel to play South Park in Australia. And anyway, my dad taped this cartoon, Porco Rosso. It's a Japanese animated Studio Ghibli film. And we were studying Japanese at school, in primary school. That was like the second language we were being taught. And so I took a tape in. I said, Miss, can we watch this cartoon my dad taped? It's Japanese. And they go, sure, let's put it on. She puts it into the VHS player, presses play, immediately hardcore sex scene. Just
what?
They're like 7 and 8 years old, and she is in shock. And then she pauses it, and the kids are laughing. It's the funniest thing in the world. Everybody thinks I did it on purpose, but I didn't even know how to do that. I'm too little. And I think it's moments like that I remember, and I always want to include in my work. That's kind of shocking. The shock of that. But
that's amazing.
Studio Ghibli, I think the attention to detail and the way every shot is like a masterclass in how to animate. You can just pause it and be like, oh shit, that's how you do that. Look how they're implying a certain mood, or the wind through the way the leaves are blowing. Sorry, my dad's just calling me. I'm just going to put my phone on silent.
No problem.
It's just, and then also the stories themselves felt a lot more personal and nuanced and strange, and not as slick. And Disney stuff, every kid watches Disney as a kid and loves it usually. But I think as you get older, or at least I did, as I felt like I aged out of it a little quicker. And it just felt a little bit more like a craft than artwork. Like it's crafted to be this perfect thing because they've got all the money in the world, all the best people, but at the same time it feels a bit soulless.
It's like a paint by numbers kind of thing.
And I definitely have my favorite Pixar movie or Disney film, but comparatively, when I watch a Studio Ghibli one, I'm like, I don't know what the fuck's going to happen. Sorry, I don't know if I can swear, but
you're good. You're good.
I don't know what's going to happen here, and it's awesome because it's exciting,
Yeah, Disney is so formulaic. Once you've seen like one of the princess movies, you've pretty much seen every one of them, like the big old beat by beat. It's always a certain level of princess. At the end of the story, she has her moment, which is cool for kids, but it gets very boring and stale.
I think I will say. Oh, go ahead. What are you about to say?
No, you go, Chad.
Oh, no, I was just going to say the just a quick tidbit. And the funny thing, Ivan, I didn't even realize this, man, until the other day. I was a post made on Instagram. And like you were saying, Demetrius, the princess films are like formulaic, and how you have this happen, then there's a song, and then you have this happen, Prince comes, whatever the inciting incident was, it gets solved, blah, 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 blah. But the funny thing was with Sleeping Beauty, she sleeps the whole movie. I just didn't like she did nothing. She literally my girl, the star attraction of that is Maleficent. Like Maleficent is the truth, you know what I'm saying? And you don't even really pay attention. I don't even know. Do you guys know what her actual name is? What's Sleeping Beauty's name?
I don't personally.
I think I can't wait. Sleeping Beauty. is. She's the blonde. She's got blonde hair.
Blonde. Mhm.
I think it's on the tip of my tongue. Yeah,
I'm gonna look it up because I don't even really. You might
That's
wanna.
the
I
thing.
don't even know it.
That's
You
the
gotta look it
point, though.
up.
That's the
Right,
point.
that's the whole
That's the
point.
point.
Right.
You gotta
Yeah.
look it up. You don't know
think
it off
it-
the top of your head.
I could tell you who the background artist was, the lead background artist. That one has a cool look though, a Sleeping Beauty. It's got kind
Oh,
of
yeah.
you can
The
see it,
aesthetic is
the
beautiful.
shifting. Yeah, I think I do. If I had more, it starts with A, or it's a vowel. Her name starts with, and it's
Not Aurora, no.
Aurora. Yeah, it's Aurora.
Yeah, that's it.
Oh,
Aurora.
hey,
That's
look
it.
at that!
Aurora.
Look at that!
okay.
I pulled it out of nowhere. Like I didn't even have my phone on me.
Yeah, you did it.
I did it somehow. My brain came out of nowhere.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, Princess Aurora. And I was just like, because somebody brought that up the other day, because obviously she sleeps the whole movie. Snow White is, if I'm not mistaken, she's like dead like most of the movie, if I'm not mistaken. Is that the
She
thing?
Yeah.
sleep. Yeah, she's just
No, my girl's
no,
dead
out.
o'clock the whole movie. Yeah, it's like
We need a Prince movie where the whole time he just sleeps.
that would be
Hey, that'd be cool.
But not because anyone put a spell on him. He's just really lazy.
Hey, I definitely need to see it for sure. You have this like Fiona from Shrek, like this Fiona-esque kick butt like princess just comes and like slays a dragon, and she thinks that he's under a spell or whatever, and they're like, hey man, like Prince Howard has been out for 7 days. It's, oh wow, he's under some kind of spell. It's like, nah, he's just lazy. He doesn't do anything.
Nah,
He's
he
just
went
got
to the
chronic-
Hey, he's just like super duper fatigued.
hung over.
No, that would be lit.
That's funny.
No,
Yeah,
that would.
I don't know if you guys have seen this. I bet you haven't. But on my website, I've got a tab up the top. It's called Bad Movies, and it's
Yes.
where I do mock-ups of like my own ideas for Pixar movies or DreamWorks movies. So that I set myself a little challenge of coming up with the idea, and I have to write down the plot of the film and design a poster for it all in one day.
Whoa.
No,
So
no,
they're
that-
really
No,
fun.
that mess is funny. I have seen that.
The trick is to just pick an object, anthropomorphize it, and then just write every pun, every bad joke you can think of. And yeah.
Oh my god. Time's Up is the great.
No,
it's just-
Tool is this
I was
hammer
just about to
time.
say that's the one that had me deceased.
I think Tools is
Oh my
probably the best poster. It's the little nails, they're like little minions, the sunglasses.
Like on the
Yes.
wrecking ball. Yes.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
Tools out of the kitchen.
Not in-feed includes soundtrack of MC Hammer.
And soap opera.
Minute-
It's like
Men at work.
you got the hair on the soap.
Yeah, so soap opera was the very first one. It's all part of this cinematic universe I came up with. It's a house, the house cinematic universe. And so every room of the house has the tool shed, the bathroom, the kitchen.
Wow.
That's
Wow.
amazing.
No,
But
that's
Pixar's Hats actually wrote a full movie breakdown for that one. Could actually be a Pixar movie, I think.
I was about to
Yeah.
say Hats is the
totally.
most believable. Hats could definitely work. Now, like the Tools, I just don't even know, like you said, especially with the MC Hammer soundtrack, like that, I don't know what that, I don't think that's gonna, that might have one person that shows up to watch, be like, oh wow, a story finally about a hammer. I've been waiting my whole life.
Yeah.
The world of hammers.
Exactly, but and I like board games too. Board games, I think
Yeah.
board games could work. Board games
Board
could
games
definitely
could
work.
work.
Yeah.
Board games, it's Wreck-It Ralph is to video games. It's
I
like
mean,
Toy Story is to toys.
If they
Yeah.
can make a movie about emoji, they can make one about board games.
That's it. Yeah.
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 I mean,
The-
I'd go
but
see
you-
it too.
But you saw,
Mm.
emojis was like garbage. Like it did nothing.
Oh yeah,
Like,
yeah. Yeah, we don't talk about
I
the
actually,
emoji movie
I actually
now.
forgot that was a movie. I forgot that was a movie until you said something just now. I forgot that.
Yeah,
I thought it was pretty bad, but it was only as bad as a lot of those other ones I thought. It had some nice some of the animation was nice. It wasn't like shit. It wasn't bad quality animation.
No, it was good.
Yeah, they made it look smooth, but it was not a great concept of story. The story didn't hold up to the animation quality.
Yeah.
If you want the worst CG animated film, and I've only seen the trailer, it's the last film that Sean Connery ever did. And he plays an old 80-year-old skateboarding man, and he has a goat as a sidekick. And
Oh
it's
no!
What?
absolute garbage.
What?
I think it's called Sir Billy, like Sir Billy, I think it's called. And there's this great interview with Sean Connery where he's talking about the film and he's being asked about how he got involved, and he's very proud of his Scottish culture, and it's as good as anything Pixar does. And you look at it, it's like, no, it isn't.
Like, it's not at all. Like, it's not. No.
Oh God!
Are you looking it up?
Props to the Sean
I think
Connery
I found
impression.
it.
That was a lit impression for sure. I
found it. Oh my God, this is trash.
Is it called Sir Billy? I gotta look.
It's called Sir Billy. Billy.
Oh no!
It is bad. 2.9 out of 10 on IMDb.
No, it is bad. See, Ivan, I thought you were about to say Food Fight, because that's like
Food Fight is another one. Oh my word!
Yeah,
if you ever have a chance to look at that trailer, look at the trailer, man. It is bad.
Yeah,
man, that animation.
Food Fight is crazy.
Food
It
Fight
is so
is
crazy.
garbage. Yeah. So, for all of our viewers and listeners, look up Food Fight as well, because that's one of the worst animated films I've ever seen. It's terrible.
It is, and they got all those freaking rights to all those different. Oh no, I think they got all the rights to the different companies for the food, like the food. And I was like, I don't think you really want to be a part of this, guy. I think you want to pull out.
No, I was watching like a documentary or it's like a video essay on it, and they were talking about how it was supposed to be like the most ambitious.
It had so much money put into it, though. Do you hear how much money they put into that movie? It was
how much money did they put into it?
I forget, but it was a lot of money. Like
it
just disappeared. I think it said it like disappeared at one point. Somebody stole the money, and they just kept going with the property after the money was stolen or something like that.
So it had, according to Google, it had a $65 million budget.
Yeah, and somebody I think jacked it.
Which is about I think that's like about under half of what a Pixar movies tend to cost, like 200 million plus, but still 65 million is not nothing.
No, I was about to say it's not nothing for something that didn't even make it off the ground floor. Like, I just love how everybody collectively backed the wrong horse for this movie. Like, everybody was like, yo, y'all, this is gonna get us out the hood, man. We got this. Like, this is it. And not at all. Like, not the case. So
it was auctioned for 2.5 million. Somebody was gonna try to buy this for 2.5 million.
But still, that's a fraction of what it took to make the movie, though, dude.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it is, but somebody really wanted to spend that much money on it.
Yeah,
this is a horse, man. This is what's gonna help us out right now. Not to mention, they had Charlie Sheen as like a detective dog or something like that.
You said what?
And he looks like Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
Yes.
Indiana Jones dog. It makes Sausage Party look really good.
And that is a
that's crazy. That's crazy.
Sausage Party.
Man,
Sausage Party was a wild ride. Okay.
That last scene in Sausage Party, like, I still have nightmares. That's crazy. I shouldn't have had to watch that.
The funniest thing about that movie is I saw that in theaters, and I saw people come with their kids. And that first scene when they dropped that bomb, and I saw all the kids walk out of the theater, I was like, yeah, it ain't kind of those kind of movies, man. Everyone's taking their kids out of the movie. I was like, I don't know what you thought this was, man. That's Rogan.
But I didn't love it, but I got the idea. It was a parody of kind of it was like an adult parody of kind of DreamWorks Pixar movies. And I'm happy that adult animation exists. I want more adult animation.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
totally.
But-
I don't know if you guys are familiar with A Killer Bean. Like that's the one movie that like I want to not like it, but it's actually so made that it's weird.
I don't know
I
about
think
that.
I
I'm gonna look it
yeah,
up.
I
No,
think
I
you
don't know
showed me
about
that,
that.
Josh. Killer Bean. Yeah,
Yeah, Killer Bean.
yeah, you showed me that before. Nah,
Cool.
no, it
Well,
is
it looks like, is that a video
pretty good.
game?
Yeah, like basically the guy behind it, this one dude, and he's also behind the video game, and he like just made like the pitch for the video game, and he put out the movie like forever ago.
Oh my word.
Yeah, it's so trippy. They're like bean assassins. They're like coffee
Yep.
beans or something.
Killer
Okay.
Bean Forever is the animation.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm checking it out now.
yeah,
No,
like
it's definitely
no, it's so weird, and I just love like this weird stuff like that.
yeah, same.
Yeah, and that's why, especially it's like the weird stuff that Adult Swim does, and it's just different. Like the stuff like that is just different, and not just like with the Adult Swim shorts, and not just the shorts, but just the shows on Adult Swim. And I remember, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Off the Air. Like
Yeah, of
I
course.
remember this show
Mhm.
called Off the Air, and Off the Air had this weird thing. I don't even know what Off the Air is. I don't know what it is. It's like this weird show where they did all kinds of crazy stuff.
So
It's so
basically,
hard to
like
explain.
off the air, the best way to explain off the air, it was every show had a theme. So let's just say the theme was like a grocery store. So the show would be split up into different time slots of various artists doing their own animation, and they were doing their own take on what a grocery store meant or something like that. So it was basically like a display of a ton of artists trying to from different spectrums. Like it might be somebody that does pixel art, or somebody that does stop motion, or somebody that's a 2D animator, and they would all try to figure out how they can represent whatever the theme was for that night. So that's basically the best way to explain off the air. It was just a display for a bunch of different types of artists, and it was lit. It was really cool. So yeah, Ivan, if you wanted to check it, it should be
Yeah.
on YouTube. Yeah, definitely check it out. It's really dope.
Yeah, I'm just looking it up. It sounds cool. I got to do a few things for Adult Swim back in the day. Just these small idents they would run. But it was more open than that. It was just like do whatever you want. Here's a little bit of money. Yeah, that was cool. I wish we got to do more of that stuff, but it feels I'm in. Yeah, it just. Yeah, I'm no longer weird enough, I guess.
No,
like
we think you can definitely still bring out the weird. I don't think that goes
oh
anywhere.
yeah, for sure. And
Well,
no, yeah, I meant to ask you
I'm
about.
working on a music video right now. That's. Oh yeah, you go. Sorry, you go.
No, go ahead. Yeah, you go ahead.
Oh, I'm working on music videos. Are often it's quite strange because it's like you've just got the song usually, and you have to interpret it, and it's often more like an artwork. Like the musician is the artist, and you're also making an artwork with the music video. So you can be a bit stranger with that. I did a clip for King Gizzard a couple of years ago. King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard. It's Melbourne psychedelic rock band. And we got to just make this weird sci-fi fantasy epic in cartoon form, and that was just like I listened to the song a bunch. That's what came to mind, so it was fun.
I see. Speaking of music, I see you got to work with one of my favorites, Gotye. Did you do a music video for Gotye as well? Oh wow!
I actually did 3 for him. That was how I made my break in animation. He's from Melbourne originally, Wally Gotye. He is just before somebody that I used to know dropped. He'd already had a couple of like songs be successful in Australia before that, but he contacted myself and my former directing partner, and he had a song called State of the Art.
Yeah, of course. Wow.
So
Okay.
I did co-directed that one, and then another song called Don't Worry, We'll Be Watching You. It's like a black and white kind of creepy cult film. And then later he came back and said, "Oh, I want to make clips for a previous album I did." So we did one for a song called 7 Hours with a Backseat Driver, and that was almost like over 10 years ago now. And I met up with him again in New York recently, and he's putting together some new music, and I'm working on a new clip for him right now.
Oh wow.
Wow, that's another exclusive. I didn't think he was drop another track. Like that is wild.
He's fascinating. He's a real artist, and I think that the success of that song and that album, it afforded him a lot of freedom, which is he's got enough money to not make music, but I think also it's probably made it quite stressful for him he's going to always be compared to that song, and it's probably quite crippling to creatively or confidence wise to release new music, because he's really creative and he's not just a hit maker. He does like weird stuff with his music. But he sent me almost 2 albums worth of songs, like maybe over 5 years ago now, maybe 7 years ago. So he's got music, he just hasn't released it. He just
Wow, that's
a catalog.
Yeah, that's a pretty cool. I was about to say it's a pretty cool little nugget of information. But go ahead, Ivan. What were you about to say?
I get upset when people could think of him like a one-hit wonder, but he has
not true
hits before that. He's got more stuff, but I think it's very interesting. He's a big nerd as well. He collects like instruments, and he's got like a room full of metronomes, and he's a nerd for electronic music specifically.
Wow, no, that's really cool, because for Gotye is one of my favorite musicians of all time. The fact that so this is mind-blowing for sure, because and just speaking on the music videos that you've worked on as well, it stuck out to me from the Somebody That I Used to Know video. Of course, he incorporated a lot of stop motion in there too, but my favorite video of his that incorporates stop motion and that kind of pixelation thing is I love Easy Way Out. That's one of my favorites.
Which one was that? Easy. I know the song. I'm just trying to remember the clip.
Yeah, he incorporates a lot of. It looks like.
So that's done by another Melbourne director called Darcy Prendergast. His company is Oh Yeah Wow. That clip, that was really cool. I got to. I know that some of the team that worked on that, and it's. That looks like a lot of work. That one.
I've seen that video so many times, and plus it's a really great song. So, and like you were saying, Ivan, when people try to say that just because, and that happens, Somebody That I Used to Know was a huge intergalactic like pop hit. It really was. And for people that don't dive in the crates and see what else there is for that particular artist, it would seem that way, but no, man, for all of our viewers and listeners, please, Gotye is an amazing artist. Got so many great songs, but I can't wait to hear the new ones though. That's going to be awesome.
Definitely.
I just hope he keeps going with it, because he's got I don't want to speak for him, but he's got all the music that I've heard that he's let me hear. It's been really cool, and I think I've grown to appreciate it more and more. And that work I did for him back in the day really set me up. That's the work that got exposure, because when he had that hit, suddenly all his songs were getting views, and that's when like places in the States like Warner Brothers or Cartoon Network, Disney, Nickelodeon started reaching out and asking me to work on projects like some of the ones you mentioned earlier with the Looney Tunes characters or whatever. That all came about because of those clips I did for Gotye, and so I'm always going to have a strong level of appreciation for that opportunity.
No, that is awesome. And just a quick. So was this was the Rubber House days, or was this before?
Yep.
Oh
no, this was Rubber House. Yeah, so that was myself and Greg Sharp, another animation director, and it was pretty much just him and I for many years working together. And then when we had slightly bigger jobs, I don't know if you've seen the work we did for Fallout, the video game, Fallout 4. That's when we started getting big. Yeah.
Oh, 4 is my game. I love that game.
Yeah, cool. All the 2D animations we directed, and some of them we wrote, and we had bigger crews for that. Yeah, that was another big one that helped us build a team of people and grow. But yeah, Rubber House was my first collaboration. It's like it was a company and everything, but it was like being in a band. It was just him and I, and we did everything, and then eventually we get interested in other things, or we're not living in the same city anymore, and it gets harder and harder to work together. When that kind of ended, it was just like a natural kind of progression to start again, start a new collaboration. Yeah.
No, that's definitely
That's cool.
One thing
Yeah,
that stuck out to me, Ivan, you have a really interesting career, man. Because even going into that, even with the research I did, I had no idea that that Gotye just doing those music videos was like a huge launch pad for you. That's wild. One of the things that I thought was interesting, and correct me if I'm wrong, when you were doing the pixel art, you had no intention on actually doing a Simpsons couch gag when you created that animation. Is that correct?
So that was another collaboration between myself and another animator, Paul Robertson, who's like probably the most famous pixel artist in the world. And like I mentioned, I started out animating pixel art. That's how I learned to animate. And then I moved to traditional 2D stuff. And then I was able to go back and apply some of the skills I learned from hand-drawn animation back to the pixel art that I was doing. And Paul and I were living together at the time in a share house, and we talked about working on something fun together. We're both big fans of The Simpsons, and we said, we'd seen all these couch gags that other guest animators had done, and that the show was using them. I went, wouldn't it be cool if there was a pixel art intro, or actually just a couch gag originally? We're just saying, let's do a couch gag. And then we said, let's just redo the whole intro. That would be cool. So him and I just chipped away at the thing, made it together, tried to put in as many little references to the classic episodes that we loved and grew up with. And then we put it online, and we did have our fingers crossed. We thought there's a chance that this will get eyes. There's a chance that someone from the show could see it, but we didn't think it would be so quick or that it would even happen. We hoped, but we got an email from one of the producers on the show. It went to my spam folder.
Oh wow!
Producer's name's Lorena Jean Adamson, who was she's been on the show since like season 1.
Oh wow!
Wow!
And I almost didn't believe it because it was just like a one-line email. What's your phone number? and I gave it to her, and I spoke to her, and she said, "Oh, the showrunners saw the intro. They want to use it. We want to use it on the very next episode."
Wow!
And I'm like,
"That's cool.
Okay, let's do it."
Yeah, that's crazy.
And that was amazing career highlight. We had a trip planned to the States later that year because I was doing some work with Cartoon Network, and so I organized to go visit the show and meet the people who work on it, and I got to sit in on a table read of an episode of The Simpsons. I met some of the directors, the voice actors, and that was just a dream come true. I remember we're sitting in the table read where they got the scripts and they're reading through, and the voice of Lisa Simpson came up to me, and she said, you better laugh. You better not fuck this up. And I was like, Lisa can't swear. Lisa's not allowed to swear. But yeah, it was cool. She was just joking, of course, but her voice is exactly like Lisa. So it's really strange.
Yeah, no, totally. And I could have sworn I've seen your pixel animation air because I'm a huge Simpsons fan, and I used to watch the show all the time. So I could have sworn I've actually seen it air. And that's crazy.
They used it. Yeah, they used it on, it was like season 27 or something.
Yeah.
Maybe 26. I can't remember the exact episode 17, season 26 or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. But yeah, this is definitely crazy how just the email from them was just in your spam folder. And
it was like I recognized the name because I'd seen it in the credits, and I got to chat to her when she took us out for lunch. Lorena did, and she was like this. I don't know what her age was, but she'd been on the show so long, and I swear they only kept her around because she knew everybody's dirt. Because she was just like telling stories, and I was lapping it up. I was just asking. They told me about the feud between Matt Groening, the creator of The Simpsons, and the other person who developed the show, Sam Simon. and how they were both kind of jealous of each other. And I was like, this is awesome. This is just hot gossip for a Simpsons nerd.
Yeah, totally.
And then she gave me a lift back to where we were staying, but we had to stop by and do errands on the way home, and it was very strange. She stopped off at a Mexican spiritualist shop because she said she was part Mexican, and so we get out of the car and we go in, just basically having a spiritual consultation, and we're like, what are we doing here? This is so strange. But yeah, that was a cool experience.
Yeah, for sure. No, that's really cool. But if it was me, if something like that was in my spam folder, like I wouldn't have seen it until 3 years. Like,
I would have been at least 3 years later for
about
sure.
2 or 3
At
years
least.
since I
I'd
saw
have
it.
been cleaning it up, and I'd have been like, "Oh, what is this?"
Every now and then, when you put out work and things blow up, like The Simpsons did, and the clip for Childish Gambino, when you do something like we make a lot of work, not everything goes that way. Not everything is that successful. But when it is, your phone just blows up. You get Instagram messages, you get emails, and you find yourself like sucked into it and checking it a lot more often. So I think I was like checking my phone a lot, and I was like, there's a chance this could go to my spam. So I was checking spam, and it arrived there. But it's like it's just it's a bad habit, but I've learned to appreciate those moments because it's still rare. There's no formula to success, and
Right.
and like you said, Chad, you didn't know I was responsible for all these different work, and I think I've got to work on some awesome, amazing stuff, but I'm still pretty anonymous. It's not like people associate me with it personally. I don't. Yeah, it's really the work that is. I have no celebrity attached to the work. It's just if it's good or not.
Yeah.
Which is a good thing, I think.
Mm-hmm. The work
Yeah,
speaks
no,
for
I got
itself.
exactly. I was just about to say that. Yes. Perfect way of putting it.
No, for sure. And it's just crazy because I remember when Fallout 76 came out, I just loved all those Fallout 76 shorts.
Yes. Yes.
And it's crazy that you were behind those.
I did the voice for 2 characters in Fallout as well.
Oh,
really?
sweet.
Oh, wow.
That's
So,
awesome.
do you know the Nuka-Cola kind of expansion pack for Fallout 4?
Yeah. Yeah.
I did the voice for Bottle and Cappy, the mascot characters.
What? You did? Hey, that's cool. Hey, I played the meth out of Fallout 4. I know. Yeah.
Because we were doing a cartoon to promote it, and we had to hire voice actors. And one of the characters, I was like, let's make him like Mickey Mouse, and the other character like Goofy. And I just did an impression for the scratch animation, and the voice for Bottle morphed. They said, "Can you make it more like Patrick Star from SpongeBob?" And I was like, "Okay, I could try that." And that's what it ended up. My impression of Mickey Mouse and Patrick Star.
That's awesome.
That's dope.
Yeah,
I'm about to go play that game again now.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
it's a sign to go back and play it again.
What's your favorite? Do you guys have like favorite games of all time?
Oh gosh.
I would say the funny thing with me is I would say my favorite game of all time, and the one I definitely have the most playtime on, like the game I played I have the most hours on, is Simpsons Hit and Run. I don't know if you know that.
Yeah, Hit and Run.
Like it's literally just GTA but with Simpsons characters.
It really is.
It is good.
That's
they should do a new one because you know how GTA has
Yeah.
gotten better and better. Like GTA 5 and 4 are so much better than the earlier ones.
Yeah.
A more advanced like Simpsons Hit and Run would be cool.
Oh, it would be great.
Totally. I remember the rumors of a new one being in like Game Informers.
Yes, exactly. Man,
yeah.
that was definitely my game. I think for me, because me and Joshua, we grew up together, so we play a lot of the same games. But Simpsons Hit and Run was definitely one of them. I guess if we're talking about an early on game, and I don't know if you've ever played it, Ivan, but I swear I still haven't seen a game to replicate the aesthetic of the Nintendo 64 Bomberman. Is just like unmatched. It's unmatched to me.
Yeah.
Let me look
Like,
at earlier ones. Bomberman.
yeah, the Nintendo 64 version of Bomberman. The music, like the art direction, it was just perfect for me. I love Bomberman. I always go back to that game.
Cool. Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, I remember playing one of the Game Boy. Maybe it was a Game Boy Advance version or something like that, and loving the mechanics of Bomberman.
Yes.
But I don't think I played the 64.
Oh,
In
it's
terms
good.
of time sunk into things, I reckon it's got like Red Dead Redemption 2 I played twice, which is
Ooh.
weird for me. I wanted to play it. I played it first during the pandemic, and then I played it again with my girlfriend because I was like, she's never really played games like that before, and it's like it's like a movie, but you do sink a lot of hours into those kinds of games. But one of my favorite arcade style is the Spelunky series. Do you know Spelunky?
Yeah, I know Spelunky, but I don't think I've ever played it. I know about it for sure.
I've
But I
never
never.
did it.
No, I haven't
It's
either.
been with me for a long time. I played it first on the free version for PC that came out like 2007 or something. And then he remastered it and released it for like consoles.
I gotta
You
look
know,
that
that
up.
was good. But I think because they're procedurally generated levels, you just never get it's all about learning the mechanics of the game. You can't save, you don't collect things that stay with you. All you do is understand the game better and your reflexes get sharper. But it's like once they look really simple. It looks like it's a throwaway game, but there's a surprising amount of complexity to the physics and the AI and stuff, and it's satisfying when you discover something new for yourself. Like for instance, there's these damsel characters, like a woman or a dog that needs to be saved, and you can pick them up and then take them to the end, and you'll get a kiss and a heart. But if you see an altar along the way, you realize, oh, if I put her down on this altar, it sacrifices her, and then what does that do? And then you just keep. It's like Minecraft. You just keep experimenting.
Just keep trying things. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm gonna definitely have to look that up because I never even heard of it. Yeah, I had
Nah,
no
I
idea.
It's an indie game. It's not like a big studio game or anything. It's just this
And
one guy who'd been making games since back when I was doing pixel art online.
okay, I'm gonna have to definitely check that out. How do you spell it? You said it's
It's
Splunking?
Spelunky. It's a real word, spelunk. It's like someone who
Spelunk.
climbs through caves, explores caves. Spelunky.
Yeah.
Okay, I see it. Yep. Oh, it's on Steam. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh yeah, I'm gonna definitely have to
It's
check
got a
that out.
pretty cool multiplayer as well. If you like, there's a battle mode that's pretty addictive that I've played a lot of as well. It's like a Smash Brothers style fighting arena deathmatch.
Okay. Oh yeah, I'm gonna have to definitely check that out. And the one
Yeah.
thing, and I'll be honest, like Ivan, I don't get mad. Me and Joshua, we have Red Dead Redemption. And look, I'm
I
gonna
knew
preface.
it.
I'm gonna preface this comment by saying this. I'm gonna preface this comment by saying this. We have beaten both of the Last of Us games, and okay, so we're not that bad. But I have not beaten or even really tapped into Red Dead Redemption 2 yet, and I have it.
And it's
I just
bad because we tell him he got to get into it.
Yeah, no, we definitely got cobwebs on it for sure. We
You named two of my other favorite games though. The Last of Us games are the best. I
they're
love them.
beautiful.
I thought well,
Yeah.
I didn't know
yeah.
games could be when I first played the first one. I was like, I didn't know games could be like this. I didn't think I could get emotionally invested in the story or the characters, the cinematography. Because I'd seen like Uncharted, and Uncharted is like fun and everything,
Yes.
but it's like a tropey action story. Whereas The Last of Us, that you feel like a depth to the characters, and there's just like a beauty to it that I think is unmatched. And the second one, I liked it. I thought it was awesome, and yeah, those are both cool games.
All
But
right.
Red Dead, man,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
Red Dead's kind of like sad as well. But yeah, you
Yeah.
gotta get into
Well,
it.
is it a spoiler? Are we in spoiler territory for how it's sad?
Yeah.
You can't really. We gotta play it, dude. Let's just. If you tell
I'ma
them,
have
they're
to
not
play
gonna
it.
play it.
Yeah,
If
I'ma
you
have
tell
to
them,
play
they're not
it.
gonna play it.
I promise y'all.
Let's just
I'm gonna play
okay.
it.
I won't spoil anything, but this isn't really a spoil. It's just that maybe a way to think about it is it's like the dying days of the Wild West, and so there's a melancholy to the idea of the wilderness no longer existing. That the world is closing in on certain kind of people, and yeah, everything's modernizing. So it's at the turn of the century,
Ooh, okay.
and yeah, anything else I say will be too specific and
We'll ruin
but
it.
like
Got you.
it's totally. I actually only just played GTA 5 recently, and it's great. I really enjoyed it, but it's a bit like Uncharted to The Last of Us. I think for me, Red Dead Redemption 2 just it has a lot of the similar gameplay mechanics. You're running around shooting and exploring maps and jumping on horses instead of cars, but there's also this kind of depth to the characters that really, I don't know. I think, did you cry, Demetrius?
Yeah. I wasn't gonna say anything. You just called me out, but I wasn't gonna say anything. I wasn't gonna say that I was a sad day at the Clark family. It was a pretty sad day for me.
The very last song though, the song, the very last, yeah. I think I don't cry easily.
Yeah, that. Woo! I can't. I'm not trying to think about it right now. I'm trying to.
So it's like if you want a game to make you feel emotional, they're good ones for that.
Oh yeah,
But-
yeah.
Okay, we definitely got to play that over the holiday, Josh.
Yeah,
for
for sure.
We
Yeah,
I'm
you
gonna
guys
be
gotta get
in
homework on. You got a long list of homework you got to get done.
Oh wait,
Nah,
I'm out.
for sure.
I'm on break. I'm on break now, so I'm good.
Yeah, nah.
What am I going to tell you guys? Josh, there's you rim an ostrich, and Chad, you become peg brothers. It's all in that game.
Ow. Got you. It's one of those games. I feel it.
You gotta get into it, man.
Oh yeah, we've all played one of them kind of games. Yeah.
Have we though? Have we?
If you play Saints Row,
It's one of them kind of games.
Yeah, Saints Row
kind
is
of
crazy.
Yeah, the Violator. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, we don't talk about the Violator, not the
We gotta
Violator.
talk about the Violator. It's the best weapon of the game, man.
nah, man. I'm good.
Yeah, like this is definitely a different world when you're slapping cops with gigantic dildo swords.
Yes,
Big broadsword, but it's like a dildo. It's like perfect. It's disrespect, man. It's so much disrespect.
Yeah, it's one of the experiences of all time for sure. One of them.
It's one of
the experiences.
One of the experiences.
One of the experiences that separated it from GTA. It became its own. With the Violator, it became its own thing. GTA is never gonna do that. They're never gonna put anything like that in the game.
I think so, but yeah.
And I have a quick side note. So that my man, speaking of dildos and peg brothers, did my man Ken have to have it on his head though? Did he have to spear my man? that panel is so wild.
Yeah,
it was.
It's a funny visual. Yeah, that all came. Okay, I can tell you a little backstory to that idea. I had this idea for a film that I half jokingly pitched to a few producers that I met. But I had this idea for a sequel to 40-Year-Old Virgin.
Ooh.
And it's called 60-Year-Old Anal Virgin. And it's the same characters from 40-Year-Old Virgin 20 years later. And they find out, the main guy finds out that he's the only one in his friend group who's never tried anal before. And so that's the whole movie. And I had a scene where he ends up in a sex club with a dildo strapped to his head. And I just thought that was such a funny visual.
It's hilarious.
No, it is. It really is. Because it's like you can just, for that scene, how you can look at a comic and feel the momentum and the movement. Like my man was like, he
Yeah.
was ready to go. Like it was, oh my gosh. No, that was hilarious.
There's more of that in the bonus stuff, so you'll see how that came about.
Jeez, yeah, I definitely can't wait to see the rest of that.
Yeah.
But yeah, Ivan, one of the things I wanted you to just dive into, because we talked about a lot as far as your comics and working with different people. Of course, like I was saying, one of the things that we do, and it was a great way to get the ideas for who we're going to have on the podcast. We have our group chat, and we always share tons of things. Anybody that knows me and Demetrius, we're huge Donald Glover, Childish Gambino fans. We became friends listening to Donald Glover. When we got a chance to look at the music video that you directed, we had no idea you directed it at the time. But that's definitely recently one of my favorite videos, man. So we just wanted for you to dive into what that whole process was like. How did that begin? How did you decide on the art direction for Feels Like Summer? Like the whole thing. Like how did that even happen, man?
Yeah, that's a popular one I mentioned earlier. Like there's every now and then something sticks and blows up. And I met Donald a couple of years before that clip came out. He was in Australia touring, and his management organized a meeting to talk about a project. He had seen some of the Adult Swim stuff that my former Rubber House director and I, Greg, had made. And he wanted to talk to us about making a big kind of epic Fantasia style 20-30 minute cartoon based on one of his songs. And at the time we did a budget and a schedule, and we sent that over, and he didn't have the money at that point to invest in it, but he kept us in mind for future stuff. And then after This Is America came out, it was a huge song, huge video, everybody loved it. And then he reached out about doing an animated clip for a different song that he had. And I was on holidays in Italy at the time, and I knew that everything had to stop. This is like the most important thing to do right now. I knew that it would be career changing. So Donald had the idea. He'd seen an artwork by a cartoonist called Justin Richburg, and it was like this diorama of all these kind of famous, iconic, kind of black personalities, politicians, musicians, whatever, all hanging around a neighborhood playing dice. And it's like this kind of big diorama. And so Donald said, I want to do something like that, but to my song. And Donald wrote the whole list of people he wanted included in the track. And we engaged, we hired that cartoonist, Justin, to do a character design for each of the people. But his background really wasn't in animation. So it was like, we don't have much time to do this. We only had like 6 weeks to make the clip.
Wow.
And we actually made another minute and a half. That was it was a segment from a different song that it was going to open with, and then it was going to almost like somebody's changing the channel and switch over to the new song, which was a cool concept, but it just didn't happen. And then so we got Justin to do one drawing for each of the people in the clip, and the idea was he would like figure out what outfit they're wearing, their basic design, but just we would interpret that in animation. Meanwhile, I storyboarded the whole thing in my notebook, just because I'm in Italy on holidays. So I sketched it, like thumbnailed everything. I had this idea of him like walking straight ahead from a lot of the clip, and then we're drifting the camera back and forth. And then I had a storyboard artist in Melbourne, Felix Colgrave, who's an amazing animator. He's a really popular animator. I got him to take my drawings and create them digitally and figure out the moving camera stuff. And then we just worked like crazy to try to get that right. And we also wanted this kind of almost post-apocalyptic kind of style lighting, so it's very orange and pink, and I love that. It's kind of hazy. I think that came from some direction from Donald. He had this one photo of a polluted looking kind of city that he was referencing, and so it's very collaborative, but it was crazy turnaround. Like usually 6 weeks might sound like plenty of time, but the reality is you lose like a week to every email nearly. You package up a storyboard pass and then you wait for 3 days for notes. So that's 3 days out of maybe, that's like a good percentage of your schedule just doing nothing. So that's why it's crazy. Usually you'll have at least 2 weeks to do a storyboard and then a few days to do revisions on that. And then animation is often like a month or two because it just takes so long to hand animate anything. Anyway, it was an amazing experience, and when it came out, it was super exciting just to see the reaction there. I wasn't even, I didn't know what to expect. I knew that it would be received because it was Donald and he can do anything. But yeah, we just had to trust that his vision for the clip would resonate because obviously I'm not part of the Black American community. I'm just a guy in Australia. I just have to trust. I just have to trust that he's got his finger on it. I knew a lot of the people in the clip, but I didn't know everybody as intimately.
Yeah.
So roughly how big was your team? Because you said it was a quick turnaround. How many people did you have working on the project altogether?
I think we had to throw on as many people as we could. I could tell you exactly, but it would probably be around a dozen, maybe.
Okay.
Oh wow!
But I personally animated a bunch of the shots. So did Greg. But yeah, so we had people all over the world working on it. A couple in France and Spain, and mostly Australia. Mostly people in Australia. But yeah, it was a mad rush to try to get this thing done, and there was nearly no notes from Donald and his team. I think we had 2 notes. One was to he thought Kid Cudi expression needed to change, and then there was Rihanna her face needed to be redrawn or something. But it was a weird one because we're like, are all these people gonna want to be in the clip? We don't know. We just have to trust them. Donald and his team got permission. I don't think that it's parody. It's probably fine. When you're drawing Oprah, you think doesn't sue us.
Right.
Yeah. Like you think about all the logistics of trying to be able to pull something like that off.
Right.
Yeah.
But I can only imagine.
Yeah, I think there was also Kanye was in there too. I don't know what he's gonna do.
You have no idea what that man's gonna do at any point in time.
You just hope for the best in that kind of situation, but
he's a wild card.
Yeah, wild card is
that's the best way to put it, for sure.
That's a great way of putting it.
That's the best way to put it. Yeah, but that's crazy. You guys only had, you said 6 weeks. Like you only had 6 weeks to put it out, and you guys were trying to create this remotely. Like you created it remotely.
The first stage of it was remote while I was thumbing it and organizing the team, and then I got back to Melbourne and I worked locally with a lot of the artists in Melbourne. But there were still people working remotely. Often it's a mix with animation, particularly the stuff I do with not working in a giant studio with hundreds of artists at our disposal at all times. It's more like you assemble the team you need for the job that you have. And sometimes the first picks aren't available or the local picks aren't available. So you go, who else around the world can work on this that I trust? And there's an international community of artists out there that are all that can be trusted, that you build relationships with. And more I'm as a new studio show off, we're trying to just do exclusively local stuff. Just communication's just a lot easier. You don't have to be worried if somebody is not pulling their weight. You can see that they're doing it, and you can communicate creatively in more complexity verbally than in text. I think mostly no one wants to be spending their days on spreadsheets or like Slack or something. It's just, we use all these tools, but it's so much nicer to be able to just look over someone's shoulder and say, that looks awesome, or try this, rather than having to type this little essay. It's much easier to just draw it over their shoulder.
No, understandable. Definitely understandable.
Yeah, for sure.
With that, go ahead, Josh. What are you about? You had a question, bro?
Oh yeah, I was also just gonna ask you about what's the process of being able to just work with other, I don't know, just these other companies such as like Adult Swim and Bethesda, just like the processes of being able to just get your work in a place where you'll be able to see it, or what's the process of even making it available for them?
It's a one-way street, if I'm honest. It's they come to us and we respond, and we just try our best to give them what they came here for. Every job is a little different. Sometimes it's an agency coming to us and the agency has a relationship with the client, and the agency might be going out to multiple directors or studios like ourselves, and we're actually like pitching against other people. And a pitch can look like anything from 2 pages on a Google spreadsheet or Google slide, sorry, or it could be like a 15-minute presentation where we write and prepare and we do designs and we really go hard. The difference between those two things is usually how much money they have in the end for us to devote that. It's the gambling really, and hoping that you win. But the best relationships I think I've had is when the creator, we have a direct line to the creative team. So in the case of a musician, actually being able to talk to the musician. That's a relationship I have with Wally Gotye, and we had with this Texan band Surfaces. And that's great because they're artists too, they get it. They usually trust us to do what we want, and it's awesome. They're usually the best people to work with. Agencies can be good if they've got the right people on it. We've had a great relationship with the studio that we work with on the Fallout stuff. So Studio AKQA, they're a huge advertising agency, but they've got key creative people there that love the brand and understand it. So they're great to work with. But yeah, there's no real way to pitch these places yourself. You just have to do good work when an opportunity comes. Just don't disappoint, and that's something that can take a while to learn. Yeah, and you've got to know your self-worth as well. Usually, most of the time, these places are coming to you because they know you're an expert or good at one particular thing. So usually they'll listen. If they have a request that's not reasonable, can you make this Pixar movie in 2 weeks? We'll say, no, but here's what we can do. Sometimes, or when you get notes and feedback, often people will say, oh, I didn't think this worked. Why don't you try this? And they pitch you a terrible but very specific idea. And you're like, okay, my job is to recognize the problem they have with it, but I'm going to solve that problem myself. They don't like something about this. I've heard their complaint, but I'll fix that. And usually there's a better, more like a simpler or more creative way to fix that than their suggestion. So it's learning, and usually they'll listen to you because you know what you're talking about. So it is, those relationships can be difficult, but they can also, if you present correctly and confidently, you're the expert, you can usually find a way through that you're still happy with. Yeah.
No, I definitely like that.
Yeah, no, that's definitely interesting because one of my next questions is going to be like, what are like some of the pitfalls of being an animation director? And stuff like that.
I think the hardest thing is you can lose yourself in the job. Like you can lose a sense of your own creative intuition because you're so often responding to notes. Like I think the idea of people have this idea of a director, whether it's animation or film, that we just sit there calling all the shots. It's really not the case. My job is to not make this thing suck. My job to be a link between the client who has all the money and the power and the team that I've assembled, and I never want to pass on any of the stress from the client to the team. I want to protect them from that, and I want to navigate the feedback or the notes from the client into something that I can be proud of. And that doesn't always happen. Sometimes the thing gets bent so far away from what you thought it was going to be, or you finish the thing and it never gets released for whatever reasons. Maybe the company who hired you went bankrupt, or they've changed strategies, or they've got a new CEO or whatever. All you can do is focus on like doing a good job. But in that process, you can lose a sense of what, like, your job is to have opinions as well. So often directors are really opinionated. This thing sucks, this thing's awesome. But you can lose a little bit of that if you're just responding constantly to other people's taste. So that's why I try to do things for myself, like the Muscles book, other short films I've written and directed, other little things I've written. It's like I'm doing that because it keeps me sane and it's just for me, kind of thing.
No, I like that, and it gives you a chance, I guess, not to have an artist block where you just hit a wall and you're just like, okay, I don't want to do this anymore. That whole thing,
yeah. The thing I say if you've got, like, when you're in charge, if you're not happy about something, like, it's different when you're working for someone else. When you're working for someone else, it's normal to get shitty or annoyed. But if you're working for yourself and you're shitty and annoyed, then it's your fault. Yeah, but some other pitfalls, I guess, it can be tricky sometimes understanding your relationship with where you sit with your crew, for instance. I think, particularly because I hire people on a regular, you got to be careful that you're not like, does this person like me or do they just want work? So you got to kind of create I'm sure this is common for a lot of people, but you got to create boundaries where, like, you're not just befriending all the people who work for you. Because, they're always going to laugh at your dumb jokes and treat you well. They're never going to tell you you're a dickhead. So you got to. I think it's healthy to, like, okay, I have a friendly relationship with my colleagues, but I've got some other friends over here that don't give a shit about animation, and we'll just talk about anything else. I think that's healthy to try to aim for that.
No, I like that. Yeah, because, like I said, it's just like anything else, and like I said, that operates like on so many spectrums. Because at the end of the day, even whatever kind of job like I have, or anything, or just having a project in general, you have your colleagues, you have your friends, and things like that. But at the end of the day, like you said, what's the point if we have a 6-week time limit and we can't get the job done? It's still a job at the end of the day. So you still got to be able to buckle down and get it done.
It's a job where, if done, it can be really creatively satisfying, really fun. We're drawing for a living. You've got to remind people that, like, when clients ask you for something unreasonable and the only option I have is to pass that unreasonable request onto my crew, I'm just like, hey, we're not saving lives here. The client can wait, or they'll pay more and then I can pay my crew more to work. We try not to make people work weekends, but they'll pay more. We can hire other people. None of our crew have to sacrifice their weekends or after hours to sell a video game ad. Like, come on, like, nothing is worth screwing with people's lives, I think.
Agreed.
And I love animation and video games, but it's not even about that at that point. It's about making some other asshole money. Why would I? If I can throw my weight around and protect the crew from that, why wouldn't I? Of course, I'm not gonna.
Of course.
Yeah, I'm not gonna suck up to the client and say, yes, we'll do whatever dumb idea you have.
Right.
I'll say, no, let's think about this for a sec. Let's try to
be sensible about this.
That's how to work this out.
Yeah.
I definitely understand that. It's because one of the things that me and the guys, I won't necessarily say, I think it's just being a grumpy old man. It's not really a complaint, but we talk about just 2D animation. And obviously, like we talked about, Ivan, when we started the conversation, you grew up on 2D animation. So did we, watching the Disney movies, watching the Studio Ghibli and all of that. And we see that, I guess, like on a big spectrum. Now you have like your TV shows and things like that still use a lot of that animation. But for the most part, for a lot of the bigger animated movies, they've gone with the 3D model route and things like that. But at the end of the day, like, I'm sure, like you were saying, it's backbreaking having to do 2D animation in a time constraint. Just having an artist here that I guess can vouch for that. Is 2D animation something is it more expensive to do than like 3D models, or do you have some sort of insight to that on why that shift is made and we're doing a lot more 3D than 2D stuff nowadays?
I think, like you said, like the majority of TV animation is still 2D. There's not a lot of, I think it's like a bell curve. There's savings to be made at a certain point with 3D, but in the beginning, there's a lot of work, like rigging and lighting and texturing. That's all hard work. Whereas I can just pick up a pencil and quickly draw something. And also with TV quality 2D animation, it's not like you're drawing it's not like on ones, like you're not drawing a frame every frame. You might hold a key pose of the character and just move their mouth. So it's inexpensive at the TV end of it. But with feature, I think the appeal of CG, and we see a lot in CG, the 3D animated films these days, they're taking a lot more inspiration from 2D animation. They break the model and there's smear frames and there's cool effects like that. Storyboards are still all done by hand on all of these films. The concept art's all done by hand. So there is a 2D, there's a 2D kind of sentiment coming through, temperament, whatever, coming through all these CG films. I think the advantage of 3D is it's a lot more like cinema. It's a lot more like having a camera in a space and you light the space and you create sets, three-dimensional sets. And I think it allows the directors to have more iterations. If this isn't working, let's try this camera up here like this, or you can light it cinematically so it looks really dynamic compared to hand-drawn, which even with multi-levels of shading always looks like a drawing. But CG kind of gets closer and closer towards real life and cinema. So I can see the appeal of that. There was a point where it looked like 2D was dying back when I was starting out, like in the early 2000s. It felt like all movies are going 3D and there's not going to be any more 2D animation, but that's just not really true. Anime is stronger than ever, and it's still all 2D, and it's some incredible stuff. Nearly all of adult animation, like comedy, is 2D. We're just not seeing those big budget kind of Disney kids movies, but honestly, that's fine by me. Like we talked about before, those things are like, I mean, there was some cool weird feature 2D animation in the 70s and stuff, like rough, like weird kind of adult stuff. But I think we're seeing awesome 2D stuff in the advertising space happening around the world. There's like studios doing incredible work that we've never seen before. So I think 2D is not going anywhere. It's not in that feature animated film space until it is again. Like somebody will make a great 2D film and it'll be because it's a great film, not because of the technique. Even the Spider-Verse movies that did so well, a lot of that was paying tribute to comic books and the comic book print and the way things moved on like 3s and 4s, and it was all referencing hand-drawn stuff, even though it was still CG. I think we're just going to see more and more of that.
Okay. No, I like that approach because we never really get to we talk to animators from time to time, but we always forget to get their take on that kind of on the 2D versus 3D, because it comes up a lot of the time, especially in like the podcasting and conventions and anime nerds and all of that. Everybody talks about it, so it was interesting to get like that perspective. So that's
totally.
And when you talk about it, the majority of the feelings are that 2D is better, or you miss 2D, or what do you normally?
Oh yeah, because we're all like, I think from like 25 and up, we're all like just grumpy. And where's the Hunchback of Notre Dame animation? Where did that go? Why is everything? And I'm kind of like you, Ivan, with that. It's just I did enjoy those movies, and I'll be honest, I haven't really watched a lot of the 3D Disney movies, not because for a lack of wanting to see them, just time. I just never really get the chance to sit down and watch stuff like that. I'm always late to everything, but no, I think they all have their place. Like one thing you were saying, and because we were talking about video game, I do follow a channel on my Instagram that talks about a lot of animation and how a lot of those 2D aspects were brought into 3D movies and things like that. One of the newest Mario game, one of the concepts used for the newest Mario video game was pretty interesting to me, because the character Mario naturally from the first game, it's like a side scroller, right?
Yeah.
The way the newer game is, they wanted to make it give you that side scroller vibe to it, but they were saying that they couldn't just turn a 3D Mario character or the character of Mario to the side because he would just look weird with his nose, I guess, and the eye on the side of his face. So the way they did it, he's not. It looks as if he's like going like a side scroller, but the character is kind of pointing out a little bit. So the way, so the way they had to model the character, they had to, like you said, that was the exact term, they had to break that model in order for the character to look right while he was cocked to the side and running forward. And they showed the model how it would look from front on. And Mario's eyes are like here and the mouth is there and there's like nothing on the side. So I just find that really interesting when you talk about breaking the models and being able to use these kind of these things learned from 2D animation and apply them to these 3D movies. I think is a really cool concept.
There's a great example from the newer Charlie Brown film. They did like a CG 3D Charlie Brown film, and it's when he's on his side versus front on, it actually has to morph because otherwise he doesn't look like the comic book. And if you adhere too much to what's literally correct, it doesn't actually look good. Same with Mickey Mouse. I always remember reading an animation book, I think the one written by the guys who was it The Illusion of Life? There's like a big book by some of the Disney animators, and they're like, Mickey Mouse's ears always sit on top, and if you got a high angle looking down at him, it's still
really
on top. Because and I remember somebody asked, what do we do with these ears? The camera looks like it doesn't make any sense, these ears. And I said, just don't draw it like that then. It's easy in 2D to just not draw it like that. But I get the nostalgia people have for hand-drawn 2D, but it's still happening. It's still there. There's people doing it, maybe not to the same frame rate as the feature Disney stuff, but honestly, this is a lot of debate within the animation communities. People are like, that stuff's kind of syrupy and smooth, but it has no, like I was saying before, no soul. And anime has like held frames and lots of power and intensity, and it's a lower frame rate, but you feel the drawings, whereas like some of the Disney stuff is so smooth that it's almost swims and doesn't carry the same weight. Anyway, it's also a fuck ton of work to do all those drawings.
I was about to say,
but it's a bit like, what do you get for that? Is it worth it? Does it? Some people just want it to be smooth, but I can deal with things being a bit rougher, like chunky. It's like chunky style soup versus smooth soup. It's still good.
Exactly.
I was about to say, Oh, go ahead, Josh.
Basically, it's funny we bring up animation in video games because I don't know if you guys remember Sonic 06, Sonic the Hedgehog that came out in 2006. People didn't really like it. The reception for that particular Sonic game wasn't really good because Sonic used to be like a 2D scroller and it was pixelated. And Sonic 06 was like the biggest, like a mainstream Sonic game that introduced the 3D Sonic and him having this whole open world thing. And people didn't really like it. Like it was really had really mixed reactions. And I remember just all the vitriol that it had in the old Game Informers, and how people say it's still like the worst Sonic game ever.
But we're now making Sonic games just like that now.
Now Sonic's came a long way. He's had a bad game here where he was a werewolf for a little bit and some nights and stuff like that happened, and then he went back to his old school days.
The
Sonic
werewolf was
came
wild,
a long way.
man. That's a tough one. The werewolf Sonic was tough. That was tough.
No, it is. But I do, like I said, how I guess you could say direction changes over time, because like you said, back then with that game, it was so drastically different that people just automatically hated it. But now, even fighters, like I remember when Naruto, that for the first time he had an anime game that was like an open kind of arena instead of it just being the classic Mortal Kombat style side scrolling. It's always interesting. Oh, go ahead.
I'll be honest though, I never liked Mario 64. I thought that was dog shit.
Really?
Wow. Yeah, I find it confusing. The camera just wasn't ever in where I wanted it to be, and I was like, when I'm jumping, it doesn't feel like I'm jumping because the way the camera is, and it just didn't feel like side scrolling. Same with like my favorite of the Zelda games. It's not like Ocarina of Time. It's the top down Game Boy.
Wow.
Link to the Past or one of those
Yeah.
games, I enjoy way
Wow.
more.
Yeah,
That's a hot
same.
take.
Yeah, 'cause
Man,
I-
hot
I
takes,
feel-
man. Hot takes.
Same, to be honest. Like I didn't
Hot
really,
takes.
You
I
never
don't
hear
really,
that.
I didn't really
At
like the
all.
3D. Yeah, I never really caught on to the 3D Zeldas either. I've always played the top down ones on my Game
and they don't get
Boy.
them as much love, I feel, the top
At
down
all.
ones. But like the Four Seasons one they did. Anyway, all those Game Boy Advanced ones were cool. That's the
Mhm.
Zelda. But then something switches. Like same with if you try to play like GTA 3 or one of those ones. It's pretty hard to play those games now.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah,
and then you get to 4 and 5. They're like, okay, these are like feel like the 3D has found its groove, and it feels because there's number 3 in like Vice City. All the characters have these real whack walk cycles,
Yes.
and they just like randomly
Yeah.
standing in these places. They don't feel okay. It doesn't feel realistic yet.
No.
Right.
It's like I either
No,
want it to be
definitely.
really silly and 2D, or I want it to be like realistic and believable. It's this middle ground with 3D that's weird.
No, definitely. And
yeah, totally.
one thing I wanted to ask Ivan, did you see Across the Spider-Verse? Did you watch that?
Actually, I saw the first one and I didn't catch the second one. I enjoyed visually the first one. I had some issues with the story, if you guys want to hear it.
Yes.
All right,
Yeah,
talk about it.
totally.
Let's go.
We
Let's
never
hear it.
hear this. Yes, come on. What is it?
Okay. So I thought that all the other characters that come in, all the different versions of the Spider Men from different
Sure.
universes, I felt like at that point I knew they weren't going to contribute anything to the story. They were just there for comic relief. Because I feel like I've seen this before, this ensemble of just they come in during the end of the second act and it's a Lego movie. There's just like a big bunch of characters running around doing stuff, but I didn't feel like they
Mhm.
really ever added anything, and I didn't like it just felt like a kind of empty kind of so that was my first one. It's a very minor problem. It's still fine, but the biggest problem I had was the uncle character. Like he's a bad guy. He was willing to kill a child, a kid, until he realized it was his nephew. And then all of a sudden, it's like, oh, I better not kill this kid. How many other kids has he killed?
Yeah.
And then at the end,
Yeah.
they're painting him. At the end, in the end credits, they're painting a mural of him. I'm like, wait a sec. Like, I get you want to have this positive role model for this character, but he's not a good guy. This is not the right guy.
No,
Yeah, that's your whole gripe with the Prowler, isn't it? That's your whole gripe with
yes,
it.
and that's what I was about to say. We're exactly on the same page, Ivan. I felt the same exact way. I'll let you watch the second movie, but yes, in the first movie, the Prowler, I had that same problem. And to be fair, Demetrius, like the Prowler, a more realistic version of that is in the video game, I think, for how that character
you're
would
talking
actually
about in the Miles one?
Yeah, in the Miles game,
Yeah.
how Miles and the Prowler's relationship would actually be. Because I understand that same thing. Like you said, Ivan, he's like this evil, stupid, evil dude, and he's like ripping through all the other Spider-Men, and like literally the one in the robot, she's a child too. And you're just ripping through all these folks. But here's the thing, though. I felt like one of the things that me and the guys, we talk about this all the time, Ivan. We always talk about stakes and like the weight of situations in different films. And you were completely right. Like in that moment, it was just like a switch. And no, he was like, "Oh, I'm gonna kill you," and then he takes the mask off and he's, "Oh, hey, Miles. All right, we're good." It's like, "Oh, wait."
Yeah. What I don't like to see in films or TV shows is I don't like to think that the world just exists for the viewer, because then it feels contrived. I want to believe that the world exists for the characters and that they can interact in this space the real person was. If it feels like this is all for the benefit of the viewer, then I'm out of it. Like now I feel like pandered to, and it's like that. So sometimes my gripes with a movie is as simple as that. You only showed that for us, or this only happened for us. It's like with horror movies, when like the trope of a horror movie where a character sees something horrible and then they turn to the others and go, "Did you guys see that?" And then they all look and it's not there anymore. And then they're like going crazy. I've seen that so many times. And it's kind of like, lazy. It's like only exists for the viewer almost. Anyway, yeah. So but a really good film that I don't know if you guys have seen. It's by the same studio that like the same directing duo, Lord Miller, that did. I don't know if they directed Spider-Verse, but their production company made both films. That Mitchell's vs. the Machines. Did you see that?
Oh, Mitchell's versus the Machines.
No, but I heard it was good.
That one I love. That one, everything. It's got a weird kind of visual style as well. It doesn't look like Pixar. They involve like memes and emojis and stuff into how the teenage characters communicate. And then the emotional stake of the film, it's just a simple conflict between a daughter and a dad. And the daughter's creative and she likes making these weird little movies and animations. And then her dad is just like a hands-on kind of builder kind of style guy. And he doesn't get her world and she doesn't get his. And meanwhile, a robot apocalypse happens, and the family have to like work together to survive. And it's so funny. I just laughed in every scene. I watched it twice. I thought it was great.
I'm gonna have to check
Probably
that
like my
out
favorite
too.
I'm gonna check it out too.
Yeah, I've seen the trailer. I've never actually. I actually totally forgot about this. Yeah, I'm gonna have to check
It's
that out.
on Netflix, I think. It's a Netflix original. Denny McBride plays the dad, and he's always funny.
That's my guy.
I loved it.
Okay, yeah, I'll definitely check that out. But yeah, that's how we are, Ivan. Like with the stakes in films, and specifically with the Spider-Man to the trilogy, a lot of it, like I said, the story is good, but a lot of it is like this is fan service. Here's the who's who, especially in the second movie. It's like here's the who's who of Spider-Man. But since we were talking about frame rate, the second movie artistically is one of the greatest things I've ever seen, or at least recently. And they even pay attention to the smallest things. It's not really I guess you could say a spoiler, so I'll go ahead and tell you. One of the characters in the movie, he's a Spider-Man that is completely nonconformist. He's Spider-Punk. He's basically from the UK, and he's like this like anti-establishment. But the thing that's so cool about the character is that he's so anti-establishment that even his animation style is grossly different from everybody else. Like he doesn't conform to one color palette. His color palette changes all the time. And his frame rate is completely different than all the other characters in the like you were talking about in anime, how like their slightly more jerky frame rate gives them more, like you said, more like action. It's more action filled.
It's more punching.
Exactly. That's him. The entire movie. He's got this jerky kind of frame rate, and it's completely different. So definitely.
I definitely liked how in the first one they don't really explain why it looks so visually different, but then you realize, wait, these are all comic books. It's specific to comic books. It's like the halftone dots are like the printed comic book, and different characters from the different universes. This one's a film noir kind of style, like Dick Tracy comic, or this one's like a kind of silly kind of Disney cartoon character, and they don't really ever explicitly draw the link that it's all comic book related. I know that's referencing the comics, but to do that in animation and to still have it work was cool.
No,
as a concept. But yeah, I think my gripes were always only ever with some of the story stuff. But I think as well, I'll admit, I'm a bit fatigued of superheroes in general, as a lot of people are.
Yeah.
And I think,
for sure.
And I think, but more than that, I'm like, I want the best films that come out to be original. I feel like it's such they keep rebooting Spider-Man every few years.
We're in a remake era.
And I'm just kind of like ready. You guys were lamenting the death of 2D kind of stuff. I want to see more original. I want to see weird stuff. And the same with when the Barbie movie came out. I understand that the Barbie movie was like a comment on a lot of things politically, but I don't want the best movie out to be owned by Mattel. I want it to be like an original idea. I want other people to be able to make fun of Mattel, and like in a punky kind of way. I don't like it when the corporations are making fun of themselves, and I want to be able to other people to make fun of them. It's like when the Simpsons did the Malibu Stacy doll, that's a funnier
Mhm.
satire of Barbie than Barbie doing it of themselves. I don't know. There's something uncomfortable about corporations.
I can
Yeah.
agree with that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
totally.
Yeah,
just-
it's no. What are you about to say, dude?
I said it just feels like they're holding their punches back. They're not like really getting themselves down. If a company if someone outside of the company, like a Simpsons or whatever, made fun of it, they're not gonna hold back what they really think. Like Barbie, Mattel's gonna be like, oh, we can talk a little bit. This is where the line is, but we're not gonna go past this line. So you already know they're not going to give you like a really hard take or anything like that. You're just like, oh, okay, that was cool, but you're really not going to talk about it.
It's like when you see these movies about bands, like a biopic about Queen or Elton John or whatever, and it's been endorsed by the band. It's never going to be. They're never going to get gritty and slimy and weird.
No,
I don't want to. I don't want to see the catalog version of it by the band to sell more music. That's just disgusting to me, like, creatively.
Yeah, exactly. And like you were saying, I don't want like the craziest, the most critically acclaimed movie to be made by a company whose job they pretty much made their job to just try to like pump out the most financially successful idea. That's just what they do. That's just their whole thing. They have 1,000 board meetings every day to figure out how they can maximize like profits in this particular way. And
totally.
Yeah.
I think I want to see more like A24 kind of style.
Thank you.
Yeah, I agree.
Exactly.
Exactly.
And I think a lot of people feel the same. But I also don't think people shit on Marvel, and I don't think it's one or the other. It's Marvel are doing their thing, and I'll keep doing it as long as people pay to see it.
Yeah,
for sure.
The only thing we can do to change that is go see different kinds of movies.
Exactly. So the power is with us. I talk about that all the time. That's the best form of protest or whatever. If you want something, if you want more of something, go put your efforts into it, money into it, put time into it. But if you don't want to see it, if whatever Marvel movie you don't want to see, don't buy the ticket. Just don't buy the ticket. And I think, Ivan, that's the crazy part about the times now. It's not enough to just not really vibe with something, but you still want to go see it because now I'm going to try to monetize off the fact that I don't like it. And in order for me to make a video about how much I don't like it, I have to go watch it so I can talk about specific points of what I don't. So it's a weird kind of snake eating its own tail sort of situation.
And it's also a FOMO situation. Like even not from a negative way, but just from like a, I don't want to miss out on whatever this movie is going to be for another movie I like in the future. There's going to be a teaser here that's going to lead into a movie that maybe I'll like in the future. So I can't miss out on this.
I can't miss it.
I didn't see Oppenheimer or Barbie.
I didn't either.
Same.
I'm gonna
go. Same. Like
I'm gonna go watch some weird Italian TV show that I don't know. I just want to let different things into my head.
Agreed. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Same. And one of the most like craziest, most like different, ambitious movies I've ever seen is Hardcore Henry, and I haven't seen anything else like it.
Okay.
I have not. Did I watch that with you, Josh? Did I watch Hardcore?
Oh,
I must have
think that was just me and Dad. I don't think so.
I'm gonna have to watch that now.
Yeah, it's gonna have to be on my list for sure.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like the whole movie takes place in first person, like a Mirror's Edge.
It sure does. Yes, I never saw this. Okay. Yeah,
oh my word! Yeah, I'm gonna have to add it to the list for sure.
Yeah, it's so dope.
Is there editing or is it continuous first person? Or?
Yeah, it's continuous first person. It's like it's continuous first person, start to finish.
Do you know one of my favorite TV shows is The Peep Show? It's a British comedy of the same guy who made Succession. And it's every shot is first person, either from one of the two characters' point of views, but it's so funny. It's just it's a big inspiration on Muscles, actually.
Is it on any is it on any streaming platform or anything?
It would be, but it would be different in your country, I'm sure.
Oh,
Yeah, because it was on Netflix for a bit, but I think it's now on one of the other ones here. It doesn't look like Succession. It's not as slick as that, but it's super duper funny. Just these two housemates that one's kind of wound tightly and the other one's really loose, want to be a musician, and they yeah. If you thought the dildo on the head thing was funny, then some of the stuff they get up to is so funny.
So you said it takes place in first. So does it follow one singular character, or does it jump from character?
No, it does cut. It does cut, and it doesn't ever explain it to you. But a lot of the shots are just a character kind of talking straight into camera.
Oh, gosh.
And then it cuts back to the other person talking to camera, and it's just there. It's always from somebody's point of view.
That's crazy. Yeah. Oh wow, yeah. No, I would love that.
Yeah,
I would love that. I hate that I probably can't see it.
The same guys wrote an episode of Black Mirror that was largely first person. Do you know the one from it's like season 1 of Black Mirror, where they've got the eye implant and that records everything they see?
Yes,
anyway.
yes.
Yeah.
No, I love that. And and Black Mirror, that's one of my that's an addiction for me right there. I love Black Mirror. Every time a new season comes out, I'm on it and I down it in a whole day, like one day. So
for sure.
It's cool.
Yeah, Black Mirror is it. But yeah, I've been one of the things, like I said, we talked about a lot of great things, and just to mirror what you were saying about just getting different types of art and different types of media. And like I said, I'm not trashing Marvel. I am trashing the Fast and Furious movies. I am trashing those. But other than that, we largely feel that way about you. And that's why we were happy and honored, really, to chat with you. And just like I said, when we first started, see the face behind a lot of these just different projects that meant a lot to us, man. Like I said, we feel that same way about you. So we really appreciate the work that you do, for sure.
Totally.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate that. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Keep supporting weird little artists making whatever they want. That's the only way to get good shit or different shit.
Oh yeah,
good shit was good. Good shit was a good way to say it. Yeah,
right, exactly. It's gotta be good. But yeah, man. The last thing before we wrap up, just let us know, man. The floor is yours. What are you excited about? Like, you have your company right now, and that is
Studio Show Off.
So what are you guys working on, man?
We've got a few things gonna be kicking off at the end of this year, start of next year. Can't say too much about them, but one of them I'm really excited about. If it happens, everything's a maybe until it's definitely happening. But I guess we're doing more stuff related to video games. That's what I can say. I'm working on a game, graphics for a game that's coming out. Hasn't been announced yet, so that's all top secret. It's not my game. It's an established studio. I'd love to make my own game. I actually have some concept art for it, but it's still early days for that. And I'm just going to keep working on the comic when I get time. And it really means a lot to me that you guys have read it all and you supported it. And it's that engagement with people reading it that really is a motivator to keep doing it. So really appreciate you guys spreading the word and saying so many nice things.
Oh yeah, no problem.
Totally.
You were definitely welcome, like 100%. Like I said, the work that you do, man, from your comic to your animations, it's all fantastic. And like I said, some of the stuff that I'm just learning tonight that I had no idea that you worked on, some of the stuff with Gotye and how that started off your career, the things with the Simpsons and Rick and Morty, all things that even some of the animations that you've done for different properties like OKKO and stuff like that. That's all really cool stuff, man. Yeah, it's an honor to get a chance to chat with somebody responsible for all of that, for sure.
Definitely.
Oh,
yeah, I've been really lucky in the opportunities I've had, and I just want to keep doing it. So yeah, thanks.
Oh yeah, no problem. So let all our viewers and listeners know where they can find your website, where they can get what's left of the books after we buy them, and then your social media of course, all of that good.
Yeah, for sure. So you can go to ivandixon.com. That's Dixon with an X, and that's where you can find my store that sells t-shirts and caps and the last remaining Muscles McQuack Volume 1 first editions. And then I'm on Instagram at Ivan Reese Dixon, at Ivan Reese Dixon. I'm on Twitter and other places, but I'd say Instagram and my website are the best places to go. So yeah, check it out. And then I've got my company, studioshowoff.com. That's where you'll see a bunch of the work that myself and my directing partner Sean Zwan do. And yeah, enjoy digging through all the garbage I've worked on over the years.
Oh man. No, but for sure, guys, for all of our viewers and listeners that have been listening and watching the whole time, we appreciate that. And we will put all of Ivan's information in the description below. So for my Square Round Table guys, as always, guess what time it is?
Shameless
Shameless
promotional.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So it is time for the shameless promotional, and we are the Square Round Table podcast. You can catch this podcast as well as all of our other amazing shows on our website, and that website is squareroundtablepod.fandomlim.com. And one more time, that is squareroundtablepod.fandomlim.com. So what you got for us, Demetrius?
And if you want to catch stuff visually, you can catch us on YouTube. If you like the video, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification on the right side of the video so you get notified of this video and future videos. And comment down below if you've seen any of Ivan's work that he's talked about on this podcast. And if you're going to pick up those books, those t-shirts, and I think you said hats that you got on your website, yeah, check those out. Let us know all the stuff about everything you've seen. And even his muscly duck, like we need to know it all. And we'll be down there talking about that too.
Yeah, for sure. And if you want to, oh yeah, for sure, follow us on all the socials. And if you just want to hear our sensual, sweet, buttery voices instead of just looking at us, you can check us out anywhere else, like literally anywhere.
Anywhere you can find a podcast.
Yes, literally, we're all over any social media platform. We're all over every podcast platform. And don't forget to mention our good friends. We are the in-house podcast and radio show for Rap Nerd Radio. So we are so happy to be with those guys.
And we're on Roku and whatever.
Yes, we're on Fire Stick and Roku for Always Press Record. So you can catch us on TV with those guys also. So yeah, man, those are all of our platforms. So whichever one you go to, we don't mind. Just check us out, man. And always comment. We love to chat and converse with you all. So yeah, guys, that's it. So the last thing before we wrap up, I would love all of our co-hosts and amazing guests to reintroduce themselves before we head out. And as always, I'm your host, Chad Singleton.
I'm your host, Dimitri.
Josh Singleton, hashtag yes,
hashtag no.
And I've been Ivan Dixon. Thanks for having me, guys.
Of course.
All right, man.
Anytime.
Thank you. Yes, thank you. Thank you so much for being here. Yeah, and we are the Square Roundtable Podcast, guys. We are out. Peace.
Peace.